Experience the epic series that the world is watching and raving about. Catch up or relive the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, now on HBO On Demand, and watch back-to-back episodes anytime on your schedule. This year, join the Legion of Followers and enjoy past seasons of Game of Thrones, plus the premiere of Season 4 on April 6th on HBO. Don't miss out. Sign up for HBO and get free access to HBO On Demand.
In the wake of yesterday's police seizure, the Free National Movement accusing the government of targeting Chairman Darren Cash. The union representing BTC workers renews complaints over Digicel. Police warn of brewing gang activity in the Angleston community. A new special needs school and a preschool set to open after a lengthy delay. The Coalition for Responsible Taxation says VAT implementation in 2015 is doable. Plus, an evening walk to benefit those affected by autism. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NV12 starts now. Topping news tonight, the Free National Movement has accused the government of targeting its national chairman, Darren Cash, because of his harsh criticisms of evolving scandals surrounding the Bank of the Bahamas. Senior F&M members held an emergency meeting at party headquarters last evening, hours after police officers seized 2 laptops and a smartphone from Cash's Cable Beach home. Monique Toot was there and filed this report.
Democracy is under siege. That's according to Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, who accused the government of sending police on a political witch hunt of party chairman Darren Cash, following his criticisms of the Christie administration's handling of Bank of the Bahamas. The F&M leader held a brief news conference at the party's Mackey Street headquarters last evening, following an emergency meeting.
It is the view of the F&M that the PLP government has abused its power to cause the police to launch a political witch hunt upon one of our lead spokespersons and to launch a fishing expedition and gross invasion of his privacy.
Senior party members met hours after 3 police officers showed up at Cash's Cable Beach home with a warrant and seized 2 laptop computers and a smartphone, reportedly in relation to an investigation into the alleged leak of confidential information from Bank of the Bahamas. Dr. Minnis says the party is greatly concerned that the full force of the state has been brought to bear against its national chairman.
The lapses and failures of the present government to investigate and correct the apparent abuses and negligence of the Bank of the Bahamas is shameful and has been properly criticized and highlighted by our national chairman, but also by others who made disclosures to newspapers. Is our chairman being targeted because he has been a passionate critic of the government's inept handling of the Bank of the Bahamas, and because his wife happens to work at that institution?
Cash has been outspoken over allegations the bank was used as a political tool and previously called for the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Assembly to scrutinize the extent to which public funds, including those of the National Insurance Board, are at risk with BOB. As a result, Minnis says the chairman has been subjected to a fishing expedition. However, he says the F&M won't sit back and let that happen.
The F&M will not stand for the apparent political assault on its national chairman, which is purely a smokescreen and deflection away from the very real, pressing, and serious issues and chronic problems facing our nation today. The F&M asks, who is next?
Cash's attorney Carl Bethel says he is seeking redress for the violation of his constitutional right to privacy by a constitutional motion in the Supreme Court. The F&M leader says the party awaits the court's ruling. Reporting from F&M headquarters for NB12, I'm Voynich Toot.
A well-known businessman and former supporter of the Progressive Liberal Party today announced he has joined the Democratic National Alliance. SuperValue president and owner Rupert Roberts made the announcement this afternoon, explaining why he made the switch from a PLP backer to a card-carrying member of the DNA. He says that decision was made in part because of the PLP's lack of action over the issue of roadworks along Blue Hill Road and Market Street.
With the PLP, I supported the PLP very heavily financially, and I voted for them, as many of us did, because what the people were saying that they were going to the polls to vote out the FNM, and I suppose that's what I did. The PLP marched and prayed with us and came to power and did nothing about it. And they don't seem to realize they've inherited the lawsuit, and they're going to have to defend it or come forward and settle it.
DNA leader Branville McCartney welcomed Roberts into the DNA, noting that Bahamians have seen the best of the PLP and Free National Movement, but the best of the DNA is yet to come.
I intimated a few months back that persons have joined and will be joining, persons who are significant in the Bahamas and who have made a difference in their respective fields. And today is the start of those such persons. So we certainly welcome Mr. Roberts.
Nominations for party candidates have not yet been made. The Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union is pushing for government to appoint union executives to the Telecom's Liberalization Committee to prevent foreign companies like Digicel from entering the Bahamian telecommunications market. This comes after Digicel officials expressed hope the government would imminently make an announcement outlining the liberalization process.
We can't have Digicel be given a license knowing full well what their track record is.
It's not the first time BCPOU President Bernard Evans has spoken out against Digicel, whose representatives traveled to the Bahamas to meet with Prime Minister Perry Christie in December. However, now that the company has renewed its focus on entering the Bahamian telecoms market, Evans says the BCPOU will do its best to ensure that doesn't happen.
The Prime Minister, hopefully, I think is going to put together the Select Committee for the Liberalization Committee. We're hopeful that we'll be a part of that committee to watch out for potential applicants such as Digicel or any other applicant who does not want to respect the rights of workers in the country.
BTC is the country's only mobile phone service provider. However, its monopoly ended last month. On that day, Digicel's head of group public relations, Antonia Graham, said the company welcomes the liberalization process and wants Bahamians to experience and enjoy the benefits of competition. Evans, however, wasn't impressed.
Here's a company that doesn't recognize the rights of workers, the rights of local in the various countries that they represent to organize. That's a fundamental right that each Bahamian has. And if that's their mantra or mode of the way they operate, that they don't allow unions to organize, then certainly they will not be welcome in this country.
Evans says while the BCPOU welcomes and encourages competition, it would prefer Bahamian competition. Two former Catholic schools that are now under the portfolio of the Ministry of Education will reopen their doors more than a year behind schedule. Minister of Education Jerome Fitzgerald says unexpected construction projects caused the delay and resulted in additional spending. Our Jasmine Bonamy has more in this report.
Ministry of Education officials revealing that after several delays, both schools are now set to open for the new academic year. Our Ladies and St. Bede's Catholic primary schools were shut down at the end of the 2012-2013 school year by the Catholic Board of Education after years of dwindling enrollment. Last year, education officials announced that they intended to lease both schools. The former Our Ladies Catholic Primary School is being transformed into a special needs school, while the former St. Bede's School would be molded into a preschool and administrative offices. Both schools were expected to open last September, but were still under major construction that month. As a result, the opening date had been pushed back to January of this year, but that deadline also came and went. Yesterday, Minister of Education Jerome Fitzgerald gave an update on the progress of both schools. He said the special needs school would be completed by May and opened in time for September.
We suspect that probably by the end of May, that will be completed.
Last April, Fitzgerald announced the government would spend more than $1 million to renovate the former school into an institution for special needs students. Fitzgerald said there were some challenges with the floor of the building and a decision was made to reinforce it in January.
One of the buildings, we found out that it was a little old and we weren't satisfied with how the floor was secured, and so we had to reinforce the floor, and decision was made for that in January of this year.
He said while he could not say the exact cost, he expects there will be some cost overruns.
They haven't said because it will be over budget a bit though, because we had to reinforce the floors. To what extent that is, I cannot say at this point, but I don't suspect that it'll be that much.
Fitzgerald added that the renovation of St. Bede's Catholic Primary School is complete, but the decision was made not to open the school until September.
We are on course. Both buildings are just about finished, but I made the decision that we would not occupy them until September. That would give us over the summer really to make sure that whatever minor things need to be done will be done.
The minister said the new schools are expected to have a major impact on the academic performances of students. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
In other news, police are warning of a rise in gang activity on the streets of Angleston. Officials say there are two groups in particular who are trying to gain prominence. Superintendent Paul Roll of the Central Detective Unit said police believe recent murders that have occurred in that area may be connected to gang activity, but officers are mobilizing to put a stop to the groups before they gain further traction.
There are some persons who are trying to assemble themselves as gangs in that Angleston community, and we're not going to allow it.
Right. We intend to disrupt those intentions of those persons. We have put some people on the ground. People are there. So we intend to bring justice, and we're not going to allow a group of small persons to take over these communities and put residents in fear.
Roll said police are still in the beginning stages of investigations, but are aware of the two groups. He warned police are targeting them.
There are at least two identified groups that we are going to be targeting, and we're going to continue to target them. And I want them to understand that we're going to continue, because we're not going to allow them to wreak the kind of havoc and to achieve that which they're trying to do in that community and any other community. We're going to continue to pursue them, and we're going to continue to flush them out. The two of those that are trying to gain prominence in that area, I just want them to know that we know who they are, and they will feel us.